Hey guys, Dazzler Magic here, and ever since the MTG standard ban, I've been testing out all my different decks, and they work very drastically differently from each other. Different pacing, different strategies, different adaptability. And on last night's live stream, I kept switching them up, and I managed to get, I want to say, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 wins, 2 losses, or 3 losses or something. It was outrageous. I think I started the stream by getting 9 wins in a row, and I played, I think, 3, then 3, then 3 with different decks. And yeah, I started in Platinum 4 and I'm in Platinum 1, cool, but are we calling it solved? Well, first of all, no, because my Double Strike Candy Cane deck still exists. That thing should not exist. It wins on turn 3 very often, and if it doesn't, it wins on turn 4. It is an actual slap in the face to pacing and, like, general human decency. But because this is Magic the Gathering, I'm going to keep playing it until they actually force me to not do that. But then my other decks are like extreme mid-range, like cloning, kidnapping, green-blue weirdness. With ramp and 7-cost bombs and landfall matters, and it's just weird. And then we got mono-white enchantments, which that's a huge difference. And then, like I said, double strike. Those are primarily the decks I was playing. Shockingly, nobody who isn't running full control, like just blow up every creature the second it comes out, is getting their ass kicked by a double strike deck. Who would have thought? A turbo fast blitz deck. But then what I noticed is I had a little bit of trouble dealing with any kind of red rush deck still. It's not like it was an absolute death sentence. It's not like I'm just running decks that are way too slow, but for the other two, mono white could stop it if I kept the right cards, which means if it was 2 out of 3 and I already knew a deck they were running, they would be absolutely dead. And plus that I would sideboard. I would bring in a whole bunch of other cards that are early game removal. Or like 1-cost pin down or just whatever shuts them down. And then the rest could just be more life gain, and that's really the only 2 weaknesses of the deck. But otherwise, it is fast. And I would take out the Skrell's Hive because that hits me and then they can't block. So 2 out of 3 competitive matches, F&M, yeah, I think that deck would absolutely kick people right square in the balls. And it seemed to, but then, okay, my very, very mid-range heavy can be fast, can be slow, can be whatever. Plays different every time and I love it. My blue-green deck, that's still in trouble with Red Rush. We didn't play against much mono-black, but when we did, that's where the problems arose. All 3 decks, which I cannot stress this enough, are drastically different from each other. Different permanents, different pacing, different strategy. All 3 of them had trouble playing against mono black. So Invoke helped because now my white enchantments deck can, unsurprisingly do a little bit better. But there's one card that needs to be banned more than anything else. And yeah, Liliana's a menace, but it's Phyrexian Obliterator. No surprise there, one of those powerful cards in the game. And that extends to like 8, 9, 10 years ago when it was my single favorite card in all of Modern. Because it was so fringe, so absurd, and back then, with original Theros, like, Devotion was kind of hot. It just seemed like you could do fun stuff with it in a higher powered format. Now that it's in Standard, holy crap. Now, there's no fun to be had with Liliana. Everybody hates that in every format. People have been wanting that banned in Modern since Modern was invented. So they thought, what should we do with a highly controversial card? Oh, put it in Standard because it's like $70. Well, now it isn't, and you ruined the format, so that was worth 1 card being worth a little more money, huh? Good job, guys. So, I'd like to see both banned, but turn 4 Obliterator, when they spent the first 3 turns blowing up everything that you cast and or taking out anything that can take out Liliana from your hand directly on turn 1, 2, and 3, really annoying. That stupid little eyeball flipper thing, I could stand to do without that. And you might be saying, oh, you just don't like the color black. Yeah, nobody likes the color blue either, so what? It's annoying. I don't care. I don't care if it's the fundamental part of the color pie. I don't care. If people aren't having fun playing the game, and you're running something that doesn't let them run their deck, then something needs to be done about it. The amount of hand disruption needs to be extremely limited, moved up 1 mana, and, like I said, just don't print too much of it. Make 100% of it situational so they can whiff. I think that all hand disruption, all counterspells, and all removal, either kill or exile or whatever, and board wipes, those 4 categories need to have some special subcategory or classification on them called control. And then say, just in Standard, you're not allowed to run more than 12 of these. Maybe 16. I could see 16. After the mana, that's still an enormous portion of the deck, but not the majority. That would stop people from playing stuff like Haughty Djinn. So let's talk about that for a second. Everything I stuck got bounced back to hand. Every time I did something they didn't care about or did nothing, they would scry or draw on the end of my turn. So they had me on card count, they had me on card advantage. They would play more on my turn than their turn. And then when they got out Hadi Jin, they would protect him to the point where I would have to take 4 spells just to get rid of him. And then they've, at that point, got another one because they spent the whole time scrying. That deck quite literally cannot be beaten. The only thing that can beat it is being faster than it and then going first. So that's why people are playing mono red. That's why I'm still playing Candy Cane. So while there could be some stuff done about mono white, and I think just in general, even though it's not quite come back yet, infect/toxic needs to be dealt with. Blue-black seems more annoying, but when it first came out, the green spell cloner thing was a little too OP because it was completely non-interactive, but the blue-black version, you just do counterspell or kill spell, or sack spell, same thing, and then it has proliferate on the end. So they have 2 infect creatures, so probably about 8 of in the deck, and as long as they hit you once, they're going to win the game, the end. They're going to counter, blow up every single other thing you do. So I'd like to see that dealt with, and I haven't even seen the damn deck in a couple weeks, but you know it's coming back. Everything when you take down tier 1, everything that formerly was tier 1 or was highly competitive or just wasn't a good match but clearly was tier 1 otherwise, it's coming back. Slowly but surely it's coming back. You know this is going to happen. So something needs to be done about Infect, something needs to be done as soon as possible about Hadi Jin, and something needs to be done about Phyrexian Obliterator on turn 4. My recommendation would be ban Phyrexian Obliterator. I would like to see the white Obliterator banned as well. That thing's almost as egregious, but it's almost worse because it's in the air. And when it comes to Obliterator, it's not like black has counter spells. If they're going to plan on winning with just that one card, they're going to lose. But then you got the 3/2 stupid Boxer that is impossible to get rid of without exiling. That card should have been banned a long time ago. It's just black has too much damage output. And I'd say, oh, but control and then win with creatures and win with attrition. That's what black does. Well, I don't care. I don't want them to do that. Oh, well, blue countering every single spell so you can't even play your deck. That's just what blue does. I equally don't give a shit. Get rid of it from the game. Rethink the whole color. I don't care what you have to do. This is why people leave. Because the game isn't enjoyable or fun. There's nothing fun about playing against Hadi Jin. Now at FNM, if everybody tells them, you're a dick, and if you don't stop bringing this, I'm going to request that they ban you from the store, or just everybody, the social pressure of, you're an asshole, and that deck's for complete immature little douchebag 12-year-olds are like, haha, I'm stabbing you for playing your deck, this is so funny, ha, trolling is funny. But then they get a wake-up call when everybody's like, you're an asshole, stop coming here, we hate you. You'd have to be an actual sociopath to just be like, no, I'm going to keep bringing it because packs are more important than everybody absolutely berating me. But anonymous assholes on the internet on Arena, well, nothing you can do there with social pressure. I mean, there was this really immature, obnoxious 13-year-old when I used to play at FNM, and he showed up with a mill deck once. One time. And then everybody told him what they thought about that, and that was the end of that. Not much you can do on Arena. Now remember, I said not much, not nothing. You can time these assholes out. I timed him out for the full timer the whole time, and then I even dragged it out with some timer refresh actions. So you know what I did? I prevented him from playing against other people for 5 minutes. WotC should not say, that's a rules violation, stop doing that. They should give me a medal. They should give me a frickin' award for keeping him away from everybody else and driving more people out of the hobby. I just find it inconceivable that they didn't throw Hadi Jin under the bus in the last ban, when they knew that would be one of the ones that came back. It stops too many things because it stops everything. And you don't even have to mix white to stop everything. That's when you know mono blue is out of control. And remember, we're not getting a rotation for well over a year. So we're just going to get more blue fuel. We're just going to get more mono black fuel. More hand disruption, more kill spells. We're just going to get more blue scry. These are not going to go away. There's nothing that plays around them other than Super Blitz. You didn't even have time to do anything, which also should not be in the game because it's too oppressive to mid-range. Now, as far as the one everybody was bitching about online, once again, nobody on that subreddit knows what the hell they're talking about, Rafine. Extremely simple to stop. I am so much more worried about the green-red deck that dumps counters and everything costs 2, maybe 3. That deck is so stupidly fast, even my double strike deck has trouble keeping up with it because it goes so wide. It's just the perfect everything, and it's only going to get 2 colors more of more aggressive and more powerful cards in the next 4 or 5 sets or whatever. They got to ban that stupid dragon from Kamigawa. That's really the problem. If not one of the really good counter amplifiers. And there's 2 or 3 of them in that deck. And then if they wanted, they could sideboard in the dragon that doubles everything. Or snake or whatever. I don't know what it is. Phyrexian snake dragon. But that's looking a little bit forward. Now, why am I mentioning all this when they did the ban? They aren't going to ban anything for another year. Oh, no. They announced, I believe it's August 8th, or at least sometime in mid-August, they're going to have another ban. And they better watch this video before they do it, or they better just get a clue and learn how to assess the game for themselves. Like I said, exit surveys. Why are people quitting? Go follow them and ask them why they quit. If they're going to be honest with you, instead of just saying, price, it's all price, the answer will be, I am sick of turn 4 Obliterator because there's nothing I can do and the game's over. I can't even play my f***ing deck. And the same goes for Hadi Jin. I am not going to risk even 1 in 10 games going up against that trash because I am not going to do that. There's a whole list in my Steam library of shit I could be playing instead of this stupid f***ing game, and I don't owe you shit. That is what they should be worried about, because who do they have left? Who do they keep catering to? People who are addicted to the game and don't give a single shit about what the state of it is or the enjoyability. They just have to win, and they found out that you can just cheat. You can just go online, copy whatever people say the best deck is, whatever oppressive, overpowered piece of shit it is, and then play that, get a bunch of free wins, and have this completely fake pseudo nonsense about, oh, look how great of a player I am, look how much I win, look what rank I am, I'm so great. Okay, shallow, pathetic people like that, like, get a clue. Stop being a toxic piece of shit. And then everybody else left in the community who actually understands what a fun and interesting game and how fun deck building can be and what low-powered Magic is to, like, the new people trying to learn it and, like, all the other fundamentals that you have to be kind of wise to figure out. Well, they aren't left in the community. They left the community. I know. It can be confusing, Watsy. You want them back? Cut the head off of everything in Standard and stop printing toxic, overpowered control shit. I mean, I would even be in favor of them locking Standard to 2 colors. You want to play more? Commander or Modern. Get out the wallet. Buy a reprint set. That's fine. Go play with like-minded people. Standard is for people who want something a little more understandable and down to earth. And then limit control spells to 12 to 16. I know that would be like an enormous undertaking. And then limit mythics to 2 per deck. I know people don't want to hear it. I know they claim it would cause confusion, but if that's just the rules, there's enough confusion about, well, this phase in this order and this in the stack and then this reacts with this, then this is a delayed trigger, but then this isn't. Like, really? You really don't think you can add one more thing to that to save the game? That's crap, dude. They're just lying. So yeah, I think banning 3 more cards minimum would take Standard down to something almost reasonable, but I'm still not comfortable with the complexity. Well, I mean, not for myself, but for new players, obviously. And the power level. And that is just for me. But they don't want drawn out, slow, low-powered, nothing is happening decks on Arena because every dumb ADHD 12-year-old told them, I want faster games. Well, they want faster games so that they can stop playing this stupid thing, get the dailies, and go play something they actually want to play. And they're never going to tell you that on a survey. You have to just know that. You have to feel that out. You have to be intuitive. And you have to be in the community, interacting with the people, going to the events, and talking to real actual people, not random weirdo stalkers on Twitter that follow Aaron Forsyth. Like, what is even wrong with you, your mental state in your life, if you follow Aaron Forsyth on Twitter? I'm really curious. That should not be who he's polling. It's those weirdo fanboys that follow him around when everybody knows he's what's wrong with playtesting and design right now. He's actually worse for the company than Mark Rosewater. Just historically, with his statements, his lack of effort and lack of any kind of semblance of knowing what's going on in the game. Go read his statement on Collected Company. It's the most famous quote in all of Magic that I've ever heard. That single sentence in that interview should have been a fireable offense. Well, okay, it's really hard to look up. He said, we didn't think Collected Company would be competitive in any way in Standard. We thought it would just be like a fun gimmick for fringe stuff and for limited formats. Really, free casting 2 elves. You didn't think that free casting 2 elves from the top of your library or whatever the hell it does, in the middle of like elf ball territory, might maybe be a little bit too powerful for the amount of mana. Really? You are in the bottom 10% of people in this community understanding the game, like as far as your knowledge level, and you need to be removed from your job immediately. So these are the kind of idiots that still work there because we've been here forever and nepotism and blah, 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 whatever. Can't question me, no consequences, no looking backwards, or we'll threaten to fire you. They have a no accountability policy at WotC, basically, for all the higher-ups. And that's why nothing ever gets fixed, because God forbid they have to admit that they're bad at their job. Last time Mark was forced to do that, he went on a 19-hour Twitter just rampage, bitching at everyone, over finally having to admit that Companion is fundamentally flawed from a strategic and mathematical point, and that it was entirely his fault because he designed it. He lost his mind. It wasn't just, oh, one little backlash. It was 19 hours straight of him going completely ballistic on Twitter on everyone, and then finally some passive-aggressive sarcastic tweet about, fine, you're right, okay, fine, and then they changed how the rules of the game work instead of just banning the stupid cards. This is the caliber of people and the personalities that we're dealing with, so I wanted to throw that in at the end because if people are like, well, maybe one more ban announcement will do it. No, we gotta get rid of those two people, bare minimum, change all of their philosophy, and then while we're at it, tell everybody who's on the far left, who spends more time bitching on Twitter than doing their job, who's just some, oh, you agree with my politics hire, and doesn't actually know what they're doing. Yeah, get rid of them too. I'm sure a company from Seattle will put that very high on their list. When all Budweiser had to do was apologize, fire some people, and throw their marketing company under the bus. That's all they had to do. And they're like, $20 billion in losses later, where they're like, no, I'm not going to apologize. My politics are more important than all of the employees and the future of the company and the economic stability of a giant mega corporation. No, it's more important to parade around a guy who parodies women and is generally a very disturbed individual. Yeah, that's more important. That's the caliber of mental patient that we're dealing with here, is employees like that. And Seattle is 10 times worse than anybody who works for Budweiser. That city is like downright cursed. So if you think Magic is going to get any better, you're only correct if it's comma, because we're going to make up our own format, police everything, stay away from structured play, and just have fun playing Magic with whatever the hell cards we want. I know people in their play group where they play all the time, and some of them even convince store owners to do this. Ban all mythics. Standard without mythics is actually pretty decent. It's kind of funny. That just right off the bat drops the power level to something we're more familiar with from 10 years ago. You know, that time when the game had explosive growth. So that's the state of things. Wish I had better news, but I don't. It is what it is. All right, well, thanks for watching, everybody. Not much got better. It only got tiny little bit better. I'm sure they're going to justify it with a bunch of ridiculous biased graphs and half-truths, and then hopefully they pull the trigger a little harder in August. I'll see you guys next video.